interpreting how easy
I
it is, because there are
accidentally
people
made
that
the
are lucky
mistake
not
of
lucky even at the
clicking on
top.
a couple of
But
Jolah's videos.
it is
J-O-L-A-H.
was in the top
But
10.
it's
Guy, you
not
know, seems like would be an okay guy if I didn't know anything about him or ever heard his thoughts about anything.
What's up, Huey, by the way?
If I just saw him walking by in a
You're
crowd,
right.
I
guess you're right
wouldn't.
about the top of the top.
I don't think there would
As
be.
far as the
I don't think I would dislike him, but God, he is awful. God, he's so awful. So he's doing a live stream here, and he's basically just been, Democratic fucking blue, toe the party line. They never could do any wrong. Just venerate the Bidens and pretend that that's not good for a democracy. What you need is constructive criticism, so that way you know which way to steer the ship. Hey, there's an iceberg. Hey, guys.
Together to talk about stocks, and
don't criticize Joe. Don't tell him about that damn iceberg.
They had a couple choices.
He should. He probably should know, right? He probably should.
For BlackBerry today. So GameStop.
So I'm gonna. So Jolah, how in the goddamn fuck are you a progressive?
$5 or $10 a share to like.
No, it was like 23 to 60.
It went to 140 today.
How is Jolah a progressive?
And it multiplied like 7 times, and people became millionaires off of this random website artificially manipulating the stock. And I saw that top earners lost $1.6 billion when GameStop's stock went up that high, because these people played the system. All these people on Reddit that consider themselves like idiots. If you read the chat, it's like a 4chan type scene there.
Progressive means to progress, to move forward, to do better.
A couple hundred people, multi-millionaires, for no reason. Like, it's literally just like an algorithm in a video game that you were able to cheat. And it's really interesting how they, like, it's...
What is he talking about?
I think all of us wish we would have bought that.
Blah, 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 blah. The title of this video is...
Freaking GameStop, dude.
Dems do bad on COVID. Trump opens new office. Yang, yang. Dems do bad on COVID.
They put puts against it, meaning that they bet against the stock, and then it went up a crazy amount. They lost a lot of money.
Yeah, that's short selling. Let me find it. It's a GME. Yeah, GME. Yeah, this is wild.
So Jolah's a psycho, right? He's gonna ignore my comments. I'll give him, time.
Yeah, it's at 70 right
every
now.
10 seconds. I'll wait 10 to 20 seconds.
So it's been riding at 40 consistently, and then today it went from 40 a couple days ago. It went from that to 70 on the 22nd. Went down a little bit. Then there was a big burst, all caused by this one website. It's wild.
That's insane.
It's just really cool, dude. Like, it's fake.
144. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
How is Jolah a progressive? Oh, yeah, I'm not a progressive. I'm a ANCAP, actually. I'm actually anarcho-communist capitalist. I'm that person that Jimmy Dore talked to. That one boogaloo boy. Pro him. Too legit to quit. MC Hammer lost all of his money. Did MC Hammer lose all his money?
Yeah, but that's different than, like...
No, what did he do, though? Did he just spend it all?
I don't know. I have no idea. And then, if you ever want to talk about the Wall Street executives who screwed over the economy in 2007 and 2008, they got bonuses and they walked out the door. Meanwhile, the entire housing bubble crashed and no one was able to afford any of their foreclosures were through the roof, and then people walked away with $10 million, $100 million bonuses.
But all these white people, mostly, I mean, yeah, because black poor people vote for Democrat. These poor whites, they defend the same people who screwed them over. And yeah, that's when we get into the economic populism that works on them a little bit. But even with that, even if there's the perfect economic populist candidate like Bernie or something like that, they are still scared of like Marxism and like black people. It's like how far like it's interesting to see how these people can totally like
I
disregard.
feel like Jolah is just Sam Cedar in me.
Because they're so scared.
He's just coming across, hey, I'm a nice guy, I'm just here, I'm just...
They might be poor and white.
Sam Cedar did seem to be...
So it's really interesting how they'll throw so much away. Because they're stuck in...
He did seem like he was pleasant to talk to.
There's no, like I said before, there's no Democratic Party to help hold
That's all I'm going to say, okay?
Class politics to try and combat the... Because that's what I think around, like, in Pennsylvania and the more, like, rural parts, of course. Like, I feel like people need to be challenged in a sense. Like, you say you want economic populism, but when it comes to your front door, you're not going to take it probably. Because if, like, Bernie came to town... and they're against like BLM or something, or like for example, if I'm talking to somebody, I can get them to agree with me economically, but if something is brought up with trans people, with gay people, or with black people, the conversation like shuts down.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've experienced that at all.
Which is kind of an interesting way to look at things, because maybe economic equality in a way could serve as an open door to those who are bigoted in other ways. Because we can point to economic insecurity or economic inequality and say, well, if this inequality is bad, why aren't these? And to the people who are not for things like Medicare for all, but do want there to be a difference, or like think they want to address problems with the wage gap, or support Black Lives Matter, we can also say that same exact thing to them. Like, if you support equality in terms of race or gender or sexual orientation or transgender issues, why don't we have the same equality in economics? And as soon as you say equality of economics, people start calling you a communist. People start calling you a socialist. And that's
so I went ahead and said that there's a Yemeni genocide going on right now. 233,000 are dead, and I said laugh out loud, thanks for responding, man. And anarcho-communist capitalist, that's a bit redundant, so you're a left-right kind of guy. I'm a social anarchist, left libertarian, a left-right liberal conservative kind of guy, you know, because I'm balanced. And I'm hoping he, you know, talks more about like him being a progressive, because he's got hashtag Jolah, hashtag politics, hashtag progressive. And so progressive means to move forward. Nobody would ever say we need to regress. We don't need to go backwards. Liberal conservative, keep some things the same.
Which is stupid, because when
change
you look
the
at
shit
it,
that, you know,
you're getting your money
isn't working.
You own a business.
The shit that's not working, change that. The shit that's working, keep that.
To make $5,000 in a day to make up for the $2,000 you lost.
So to me, progressive, I guess I do have my own personal definition of what it means. I'm a progressive because you know,
so when you buy your goods,
to move forward,
and you
I want to progress. I want to, you know, I want to see progress.
You $5 and you sell it for $10. You're stealing a little bit of money from them too. Like, it's kind of stupid. Like, if you understood how the economy truly worked, you wouldn't be afraid to take some money from the government, because you know that we're then going to spend $800 billion in the military. Where does that money come from? Or, you know, give somebody, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, it doesn't really make much sense when people look at things like, comparatively, the money spent on the military is nothing compared to a UBI.
Yeah, like, we talk about, I almost feel like we should be talking less about lessening the military budget, honestly, just because, like, if you look at the COVID bailout bills, like $1.9 trillion, $2 trillion, $3 trillion, you know, a couple $1 trillion again, we're, like, we're dwarf, is that offensive? I don't even know.
I said, Jolah, you got a bunch of cool stuff, wished you advocated, but did he just say?
Push for policies, but then they always bring up like, oh, this big scary national deficit or whatever, the national debt, as if it actually matters, when it really doesn't whatsoever, because money's fake. Because I mean, that's really a reductionist point, but like it is basically true. As long as we can maintain, we have our own sovereign currency, and as long as, and that's MMT, as long as we have our sovereign currency and we can maintain a certain level of inflation, it doesn't really matter how much stuff we pay for, because it's not real. All that matters is that we have the material capacity to do something and to put something into action, and it should be fine in a sense, but like, even a minimum wage.
I asked him, you're for MMT, because he mentioned it, and also Friedman and Marx.
I agree with that.
Got myself a conservative,
economist,
you know, economist, and I got myself a liberal
has been successfully propagandized away from conservatives as some sort of like government handout. Either it's you're lazy, or there's an evil government about to take over. When in reality, conservatives are for big government as well, but they're for a big police state and a big military and a big surveillance state. When we're for a big government by the people, like that's the thing I don't like about anarchism. The people who don't want any government at all. Like, did you see Jimmy Dore got a lot of flack for talking to that? Right.
Yeah, I did see that.
Like, he's a complete anarchist, so that guy literally, no matter what his position is, it means I want to destroy every unjust power hierarchy or whatever. So, like, the government is one of those. So he wants to destroy the government. But, like, I want a government, but the issue is bad government. I want a good government owned by the people, because without that, that's our only vehicle that the people can operate through to protect themselves from whatever the shadow government may be. Like, without the actual government, and if we just had Walmart, Amazon, if we had all these big companies become their own, like, mini nation states, like, what are we going to do at that point? They could probably pay off their own mercenary forces. Like, we need a government. We should be focusing on fixing government, not, like, abolishing it. Like, I don't know what kind of utopian society people think we're going to have if we're, like, if we just literally have no structure whatsoever. Or
a direct democracy made up of people, basically, is what you're advocating for, in a way, I would say.
You would want a direct democracy? I go back and forth on how I go back and forth on how much I want a direct democracy on certain things, like picking representatives 100%. Like, do I want a direct democracy on every single issue? Should what the Fed does be decided by regular voters? I don't think so. But should, like, our elected officials be chosen by the most democratic way possible, with the Electoral College being abolished, maybe make it proportional if that doesn't work, or, like, having ranked choice voting, fixing gerrymandering. There's so many counties in Pennsylvania, if you go over the map, that look like snakes gerrymandered. Or did you ever see Dan Crenshaw's district in Denver?
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like a little noodle wrapping around. It's like where do the black people live? All right, draw around that. Make sure there's no Democratic voters, in this district, so we can win here.
There was in Pennsylvania the Donald kicking Goofy or whatever. But like notoriously, it was like a notoriously bad gerrymander, and it looked like two Disney.
Yeah. It's so frustrating, dude. And
it's like the Electoral College.
Yeah, and all this stuff. I feel like, what's your opinion on the filibuster? Like, if the Democrats should get rid of it or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm scared at any point when we make changes to protocol, just because I know that the Republicans would be 10 times as willing to change our Constitution or our precedents to impact or benefit them. Like, the same argument with expanding the court, that would help things like abortion rights and help protect progressive agenda in a lot of ways, but you are aware that in 4 to 8 years, it's likely that the Republicans would go back and do the same thing again.
Over $330 million, he talked about direct democracy. I was like, hell yeah, direct democracy is good, because I don't know, I kind of like this other guy.
Stuff, it could cause problems.
In terms of the oppressor and the oppressed, I feel like he's the oppressed between these two. They both seem actually like pretty gentle souls.
I don't think there's enough time to find out.
White males, though, so there's definitely a drought of progressive white males or females. There's a drought of progressive whites in America.
White majority in the Senate. We are going to do.
We are a center-right nation. The Democrats have always been conservative, as far as I know. As far as I've been alive.
Do in 4 years. If Democrats don't make these moves,
Cowhid's making a great sense. I think I just might end it on this. I don't know what he's talking about. He's
right-wing power will.
Vosh, Doors, Cedar, TYT, Halper, Secular Talk, etc. have in common is none work directly with their audiences to work on actionable plans to reach mainstream with agendas instead of preaching to the choir. Oh God, that is so good. And then he goes on, YouTubers are great at preaching to the choir and complaining about political celebs, but horrible on working directly with their audiences on deep organizing strategies for mainstream outreach, period. I love YouTube as my, home for where I think that my social media home should be. It used to be Facebook. It was MySpace. I hated Facebook at first. I was a MySpacer, do or dyer, and then just basically Facebook was mine. I just said fuck Twitter, and I've been getting on Twitter. I've been barely posting anything on Facebook, just like really good videos and good little paragraphs that I put on Twitter too. But I don't get no interaction with any of them bastards on Facebook. They're all just a bunch of random people. There's some folks I know, but there's like 2,000 or 3,000. But anyways,
there's a lot of
YouTube.
about doing it.
YouTube would be a fantastic place for me to just say this is where my home is, or Rockin' or whatever, just some other.
Into people's hands.
So Calcide's talking a lot of good stuff. So I've had a lot of viewers agree with me, but whenever I ask YouTubers about it, they go brain dead and try to hand wave the issue away. Very frustrating.
It is.
Jolah is a paid Soros shill.
And if the Democrats come into power,
make Puerto Rico a state, they're Republicans to oppose that.
Government, but both the House and the Senate and the presidency, and don't do anything with that power. It's not going to help them at all electorally, and that's what we were going to talk about too. Is the $2,000 checks and how they're going from $2,000 to $1,400, and how harmful, or even nothing at all, or maybe $1,400 in April, $1,400 in May, whenever it's going to actually happen. That's going to hurt them when it comes to running, when it comes to 2022, because we made a promise to those Georgia citizens that we were going to do that because they voted for the Democrats to win, and if we don't do that as Democrats, it will not be good for them. They're not going to do very well in 2022.
Yeah. And Democrats have to stop manipulating and using black voters, and then
to be there, I think discussing political celebs, etc., has its place, but when there's little to no actionable work done with viewers to overcome the corporate media firewall, we're lost.
I mean, it'd be easy.
And I said I like it better, YouTube than Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Lots of folks have jumped to Rofkin, but it doesn't look as sleek. It's got a bunch of great folks over there, though. But I like YouTube. YouTube is,
isn't it? So that's what makes it so hard throughout the country. Of course, Republicans will be able to deny it pretty easily. They can say no. What does it take to even make a state be a state? But isn't it like 2/3? Like you need a lot of people to actually.
That's a good question. Are you looking it up?
Or someone will say something, but yeah, just in general, Democrats, wherever there is power, they need to grab it. They need to grab it and plan on keeping it. Republicans go outside of political norms all the time and institutional norms all the time. Democrats shouldn't be scared to do the same thing, because if they don't, I mean, there's not going to be much left to push for at that point. YouTube, for the people in chat, dude, like YouTube is hobbyism. It is. Like, you can organize people. If I ever got Destiny or Vosh size of an audience, which isn't going to happen, but if I ever did, I would try to get people involved. But even with that, it's not going to do much. It's much better to find your local organization and do something yourself instead of coming on here and yelling at people like me to do stuff that I'm already doing. Like I don't know what's worse, a YouTuber that does nothing or people that just complain about those YouTubers. I don't know. Like,
which one is worse? Come on, Jolah!
Socialist YouTubers making $150,000 a month, millions of dollars a year, who aren't doing anything or aren't doing enough to push for positive change, real change. But I don't know. Like, I saw Destiny yell at Hassan earlier. I saw him yell at Vosh earlier on that one clip where he's like, look at all these socialists not backing up what they preach. They're making millions of dollars in the system, but they won't even contribute their money to help fix the system or change it. Like, I understand being mad at them, but just gotta believe they're corrupt and lost forever. No, I don't think so. What do you think
about that Andrew Yang?
Well, the thing with Andrew Yang that I'm happy about is we're going to be able to see what he is as an actual politician if he does win. Because, like, it's really fun to come out there and talk about UBI, talk about legalizing all drugs. What else did he want that was really unique?
The democracy dollars?
Yeah, democracy dollars, a VAT tax, but like in actual politics, I want to see what he can actually do, because a lot of his supporters too like blamed Bernie for stuff he couldn't get done in politics, coming in as a person with big ideas and more radical ideas. So I want to see the political reality of a guy like Yang, who is so ambitious. I think that'd be really cool to see. I don't know what his chances are because I don't know who the competitors are, but he's definitely the biggest name.
He was the biggest name for sure. He's going to get the biggest amount of money from outside of the state for sure. And I think you're absolutely right. I think him running in an executive position for a term as New York City mayor will show exactly what he's made of, because you can see as far as after he dropped out and endorsed Biden, he's willing to play the game, and that's good to a certain extent, but let's see if he sticks to his principles when he's actually in there. Will he, fight for his $1 billion plus feeding the homeless and make a temporary, or what is his plan? It's like a small UBI for the poorest New Yorkers.
Yeah,
if he actually gets
$1
that
billion
done,
whole dollar. Yeah.
If he actually gets that done, that will be huge, and it'll show a framework for how UBI can be implemented on a presidential or a national level. But yeah, I think we've seen Yang. We've seen him for 2 or 3 years now, and it's time to actually see what it's like with him in office somewhere. And I think New York City mayor is a great way to start.
So Calside is just making a lot of points. I want to make an actionable plan for state, local, and federal.
It's a work.
I don't know who this Calside is, but I'm gonna subscribe to Calside.
And honestly, he could
I guess Calside. We should stop killing the cows
when it comes to rebuilding from COVID, and then maybe
so he's, basically making all these great points, and Jolah's just like blah blah blah, gonna ignore everything. He's got this great platform, he's got this great machine, he's got the internet, all the privileges in the goddamn world. And all he just won't say, yes, I want to do a thing.
It worked in New York. Let's try it in LA.
I think it's a good idea to engage with your audience, to help them build up their stuff, to make their lives better. We're all doing the same thing, really. We're all humans and we're all the same, but our differences make us better. So if you make millions without changing shit, then you'll just always be a corrupt bastard. But if you make if you don't make anything, but you start out good and righteous and wanting to change the world, and you make millions doing that, then you'll be doing that forever, and you'll be helping, the world and everywhere, or not, or maybe just create an institution, retire after you've got the Titanic up and running again.
Is that they could
They did do that. Wasn't that a part of the concessions made to make Nancy Pelosi speaker?
Anyways, Jolah, I gave you a chance, man. You engaged slightly, but he's looking off to the side like a fucking dork. We're just going to look over here. He doesn't look in the camera. He doesn't engage directly with us, so he's just kind of like, look at me, Internet, and admire me. I am embarrassed that I clicked on his... I clicked on his videos a couple times, and it keeps coming up, and I think it's because he does this live video shit, and he's saying it's hobbyism, so this is what it is to him. This is just hobbyism. He don't give a fuck about nothing. He's just so fucking cool, and he wants what? He's going to be so funny or interesting, and he's just going to go straight to the top because of his comedy or his, political opinions are just on point. None of those are true. He's not funny, and he doesn't have an interesting political opinion. He's not going to make it to the top with those. God, I love the idea of doing actionable plans, national, state, local. I don't see any hope on the national scene, so actionable plans for local and action, for Colorado. So, Jared Polis, how have you been running Colorado, Jared?
Of course, and I support real life things. That's the whole point of what I'm
Jolah, you suck. Peace!